Hello student, welcome to your online class and today we will study about chapter 16 Management of Natural Resources. So let's see what are natural resources. The word natural comes from the word nature. So the resources that we get from nature are known as natural resources. For example, air, water, sunlight, coal, petroleum, etc. Now, the natural resources are classified into two main types, renewable and non-renewable. Renewable resources are those which can be replenished in a short period of time. For example, air, water, sunlight, etc. And non-renewable natural resources are those which cannot be replenished in a short interval of time. For example, coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc. Because coal and petroleum or natural gas, they take millions of years for its formation. So, they cannot be renewed in a short interval of time. So, that's why they are known as non-renewable natural resources. Now, in this chapter, we will study about the management of these natural resources so that we can use these natural resources in the present and it can be saved for the future also. You know that the human activities produce lot of waste materials and these waste materials are often thrown into the environment. Now, this waste also cause pollution of natural resources, means pollution of air, water and soil. So, let's start with pollution of water. You know that the river which are near us are polluted and in order to clean it, we have initiated Ganga Action Plan in the year 1986 in order to reduce the pollution load on the river. Now, how this river got polluted? First, because of the human waste, like domestic usage, like people take bath in the river. Then industrial waste means the industries without treating it waste directly release it into the water bodies present near it. And then we have various religious events, you know, that for example cremation. After cremation the ashes are dumped in the Ganga river. So all these kind of things pollute the river. Now these are the natural resources. Here you can see, if the river is polluted and we have initiated this Ganga Action Plan, so what can be done to reduce the level of pollution? The first and foremost important thing is to create the awareness. If the people are aware about what they are doing, they will not pollute the river. And how can we check whether the water is polluted or not? Here we have two main things to check if the water is polluted or not. The first is the presence of E. coli. E. coli, or you can say coliform bacteria. Now this E. coli or coliform bacteria lives in the intestine. Because it lives in the intestine, it is also known as intestinal bacteria. So, we check the presence of this coliform bacteria in the river. If these bacteria are present, then it means that the water is polluted with defecated matter. Second way of knowing whether the water is polluted or not is to check the pH. So, if the water is either acidic, too acidic or too basic, that means it is polluted. Okay, now moving on to the next topic. What can we do to save the environment? So these 3 R's you must have already studied about. These R's means to reduce, recycle and reuse. Reduce means use the natural resources or avoid the wastage of these natural resources. Recycle, for example, you know that paper can be recycled 5 to 6 times. Similarly, we can recycle plastic, metals, etc. So the things which can be recycled should be recycled and use it again and again instead of making it fresh. The third is reusing. This is the best way to save the environment, because if you are using something, reusing something, you are minimizing the waste also, plus you minimize the need of new resources also, new raw material also. So you know that the plastic bottles which we use in home, in which we buy jams, pickle, etc., it can be used again and again for storing various things in the kitchen. Now, what is the need for managing these natural resources? You know that the pollution is increasing day by day, and why pollution is increasing? Because we are because of the increase in population. So if the population is increasing, we need more industry so that everyone can be given work. Urbanization is increasing, and similarly the need for the resources is also increasing. Now, if there is large need, we need to manage these resources so that every person can use these resources and we can save it for the future also. So, proper management of natural resources consists of the first, proper use, or you can say judicious use of natural resources, and nothing should be wasted. The second point, important point, is long term planning for the use of this natural resources, so that we can use it in present, but they can also be use it in future they can also be available for future generation also. Third is equal distribution of this natural resources to all the people, so that everyone can use it equally. And the fourth point that we have to keep in mind is that while using these natural resources, we should not harm the environment, because environment is equally important for us. So sustainable natural resource management demands that we plan for safe disposal of these waste too. Now, our next topic, forest. Now, the first point is importance of forest. I think you all know the importance of forest. Forest is a habitat for many plants and animals. It provides us with fuel, medicine, fodder, wood, timber. It maintains the ecological balance. It maintains the climate, it controls the rainfall, it prevents soil erosion, it prevents desertification, it controls flood, it maintains the carbon and carbon dioxide and oxygen balance. Or overall, the forest are, you can say, just say for example, Amazon forest are often known as the lungs of the earth. Na? Why they are known as the lungs of the earth? Because they produce lot of oxygen, and only because of the plants, or you can say because of the forest, we are here on this earth surviving. Now the next point is forests are biodiversity hotspot. So first of all, we will study the meaning of biodiversity, and then we will see what do you mean by the term hotspot. Biodiversity, you know that different kind of species that are found and includes in biodiversity. Conservation means, you know, that preserving the biodiversity that we have inherited. And hotspots are the regions which have lot of endemic species. Endemic species means the species which are found at a particular place only and not everywhere. Now you know that loss of diversity means loss of ecological stability. The balance of the earth will will not be proper if there is much loss of biodiversity. Now the stakeholders of forest. Stakeholder means the people who are benefited from the forest. So the first one, the people who live in and around the forest, you know that they are dependent on the forest for their livelihood. So they are the first stakeholders. Second, the industrialist, you know that the raw material they use in their industry, for example, timber industry, paper industry, medicine industry, the raw material comes from the forest only. So they are also the stakeholders. Third is forest department of the government, who owns the forest because they control all the resources and they get benefit from it. So they are the third stakeholders. And the fourth one, nature and wildlife organization. Their simple aim is to conserve the forest for the welfare of all the beings present on this earth. So these are the four major stakeholders of the forest. Now, why conservation of forest is important, or how forest can be conserved. So the first is afforestation, means planting more and more trees. Preventing deforestation, you should not cut the trees indefinitely. You know? Preventing overgrazing by the cattle. Then we can set up wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, biosphere reserves, means protected areas where animals as well as plants can be saved. Then we have various programs like Van Mahotsav, Chipko movement, in which planting can be done on a large scale. So students, that's all for this video, and in the next class we will study about wildlife and further. Thank you student. Have a nice day.